Shalom, Rainicorns. Hey, it's Ellie, the Empress here. So, correction. A lost people are found. We've had the internet for a minute, and one of the things that people have taken upon themselves is engaging on social media. So I'm going to show you this. This is a enhanced tribal card. It's an identification card. All right. This is included in the Nationality Study Guide, and I've mentioned it before in a few other streams. You can find in the description box that information further. So you would be able to get a copy of the Nationality Study Guide through the ministry that my husband spearheads. So if you want to know more information about it, how to whether join, gain the knowledge and information. We do have a new website that's being formed soon. It's under construction at the moment. So that'll be getting released soon as well. Otherwise, the rest of the information is in the description box on how you can contact him for more information. So I'll be doing this with you all. We have been studying the Nationality Study Guide and learning about not so much just who we are, but why we are and why we are in the condition that we are today as a people. So as you saw, that's the nationality card that an individual has, their enhanced tribal card. So let's continue with information on how status can get corrected as far as someone's nationality goes. So mailing locations to send declaration, correction and publication, and judicial notice and proclamation. Remember, like all these words, remember going back to what is the Declaration of Independence? It's a document that was signed that was sent to Great Britain to display the United States independence from Great Britain, right? It's the same thing in the United States. So a few addresses are sending to Joseph Biden, President of the United States Corporation Company, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20500. John Roberts, Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. And of course, depending on the time period that you're watching this or that you come across this information, edit this information as necessary depending on who is in a seat or who holds office. First Street Northeast, Washington, District of Columbia, 20543. Stephen T. Mnuchin, that's spelled Mnuchin, the United States Department of the Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury, 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, District of Columbia, 20220. Jeff Sessions, Attorney General of the United States Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, District of Columbia, 20530. Mike Pompeo, United States Secretary of State, 2201 C Street, Northwest, Washington, District of Columbia, 20530. MG David P. Glasser, Glaser, Provost Marshal General of the United States Army, 2800 Army Pentagon, Washington, D.C., 20310. Okay. I'll skip that one. Yeah, there we go. Antonio Antonio Guterres, Guterres, Secretary of the United Nations, care of 405 East 42nd Street, New York, 10017. And then there's also a link to a sample of a nationality affidavit here in the study guide. Affidavit? I want to make sure I said that right. Sample nationality affidavit. So there's a link to that. Let me see. Let me click on it. Okay. You can also search the Moorish consulate. There we go. Moorish consulate, Consulate, by Taj Tarek Bey for more information on nationality. All right, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, is a milestone document in the history of human rights, drafted by representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on December 10th, 1948, as a common standard of achievements for all peoples and all nations. It sets out for the first time fundamental human rights to be universally protected, and it has been translated into over 500 languages. Preamble. Whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscious of mankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief and freedom from fear and want has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. Whereas it is essential, if man is not to be compelled to have recourse as a last resort, to rebel against tyranny and oppression, that human rights should be protected by the rule of law, whereas it is essential to promote the development of friendly relations between nations. That all sounds like it should just exist and be basic as far as how we communicate with each other here on this planet. For a long time, we have realized it is evident that that's simply not the case. Things have to be written and documented in order for things to be solidified here in this dimension, based on the fact that individuals have impeded and gone against under other individuals' individual rights, as whether they're a citizen of a society, if they're a being living within a space, those who are unconscious of the decisions that other people will make to take advantage of them. Because of that ignorance, they have been taken advantage of. For example, here in the United States, individuals who even feel that they are superior because of their ethnicity, they don't realize that they're also being taken advantage of simultaneously as those who they see are obviously being taken advantage of. With that being the case, there is a way to correct it. Now, what we all know is that these options should at least be given an option to be explored outside of individual study and individual findings. This information was so under wraps for so long that individuals don't even know that it's an option. I sure didn't know that it was an option to declare myself as whether that's a sovereign citizen, a national citizen, or some sort of other status than being a citizen of the United States. Having a worldwide status and being recognized as a being, which is going back to my name, being a sovereign empress, I did not know that that was a possibility until I got older. Whereas this information should be taught to children. You have the option. You have the ability to, if you want to put in the work, because that's the difference between being a regular citizen and being a national of sorts, having a tribal identity. You have the option of being part of this corporation, and or you have the option of putting in the work to not be a cog in a machine anymore. Simply being given the option is what makes the difference, rather than hiding the information and not making it possible for people to even know consciously that this can happen. That's where it's an issue. Because these systems were set up in place in such a way, like, remember things like this. Credit didn't exist that long ago. Mortgages didn't exist that long ago. Things like having credit lines, having a credit score, having a bank account. The storages and the treasuries had an entirely different system than how we bank today. There were storehouses that were community based. The people getting robbed of their own finances was somewhat unheard of in those times. In times like these, the mentality is almost, who can I get over on and who can I take advantage of to benefit me at any cost, rather than doing the service or doing the job that's intended to be provided in the first place. Whereas the peoples of the United Nations have in the Charter reaffirmed their faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, and in the equal rights of men and women, and have determined to promote social progress and better standards of life and larger freedom. Whereas member states have pledged themselves to achieve, in cooperation with the United Nations, the promotion of universal respect for and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Whereas a common understanding of these rights and freedoms is of the greatest importance for the full realization of this pledge. Now, therefore, the General Assembly proclaims this Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common standard of achievement for all people and all nations, to the end that every individual and every organ of society, keeping this declaration constantly in mind, shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect for these rights and freedoms, and by progressive measures, national and international, to secure their universal and effective recognition and observation, both among the peoples of member states themselves and among the peoples of territories and under their jurisdiction. So we've had conversations about the ocean aliens, and you can find the link to that video in the description box as well. Okay, so now we're fully integrating the cosmic beings, the intergalactic beings, the multidimensional beings. At this point, what even is a citizen? What is a United States citizen? What is a European citizen? What is a Ugandan citizen? What's a Nigerian citizen? What's an Australian citizen at this point, if we're now integrating individuals who don't abide by those guidelines? If we're now integrating into society these beings who don't even abide by those sidelines, what are we even looking at this point? Knowing who one is, knowing self of who an individual is, rather than this constant back and forth about whatever diaspora someone may come from. It's a mentality. It's not always my lineage came from here. It's also, who am I being for my future lineage, for my descendants? If you end up being neighbors with an alien and they're an outed alien, it's not a surprise or not a shock. They just live. Okay, what type of citizen are they? Is this like Men in Black when they were issued United States identity cards and disguises? Do they take on their full form because they're not afraid to be themselves? Do they live in a hovercraft and they happen to station in your neighborhood? These are the real questions at this point. Like, that's why when it comes to things like nationality and people having these, whether they're arguments or discussions about what lineage does someone come from, We are at a point right now where some of that doesn't even matter. It literally does not even matter, because what we are facing currently in the present, this isn't some far off future things, as stated by the United States government multiple times over several years. We are now in the same territory as intergalactic beings, and they are here. People try to spread the rhetoric of there being some sort of alien invasion, some sort of war, and that's something that's always mongered, something that's always rhetoric, something that's always discussed when it comes to, is there intelligent life outside of the human race? Well, at the end of the day, we recognize ourselves as gods and goddesses anyway, so we don't even belong here. This day-to-day sort of life that a lot of people live that ends up being pointless. Forget a dead-end job. A lot of jobs have no purpose other than destroying the planet. Look at the state of food. You have agriculture and you have food processing plants. The agricultural system makes sense. Those who, whether you agree or disagree with pesticides, if you use them, of course, make sure they're organic, but let's keep the focus there. People who develop pesticides, primarily organic, that we support. Individuals who develop and create greenhouses. Individuals who make the machines that are used to harvest crops. Individuals who make water gathering materials or water systems, and those materials used to have sprinklers, things of that nature. Those are all valuable ways of having an occupation. That's not a dead-end job. Where you have food processing plants, sure, they make a lot of money. What are you doing? Poisoning people. Utilizing things that create waste. Having factories that produce pollution. There's nothing good about a food processing plant. If we're talking about factories that clean things like agricultural crops and livestock, if those are factories used for that, that's different. We're talking about artificial foods that are created out of materials that aren't good for people, all the chemicals that are used. That's a dead-end job. I don't care if you're a factory worker on the machine line, if you're the manager, if you're the regional manager, if you're the supervisor, if you're the CEO, the CIO, the founder of the company, a beneficiary of the company, part of the trust that created the company. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what role you play. That's a dead-end job. That entire concept is a nuisance to the planet. If there's going to be an invasion on the planet for anything, it's for stuff like that. Imagine building a building that's used to destroy the planet. That's already concrete. That's already a parking lot. Then you have smoke coming out of that building. You have all these materials that are being used and shipped and created and everything just to poison people. Oh, it's a snack. It tastes good. It's not good for you. The process of creating it isn't good for anyone. It is what it is. Getting back to natural foods, even if we are talking about snacks. Why do these snacks have to be created out of materials that aren't even food? Why do all these chemicals have to get added into things that we're supposed to consume on a regular basis? People struggle with the intellect of other individuals, and why people have certain health ailments, have certain emotional issues, why people aren't emotionally regulated, why they have hormonal issues, all sorts of things. Food. Why aren't people as spiritual as they used to be? Their pineal gland is calcified because of the food. Simple things like that. So we're talking about our nationality and who we are as a people and all that. We've gotten so far away from the body that we're just okay poisoning ourselves on a regular basis. Introducing a cleanse, introducing vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian fasting to an individual, they get offended almost. Okay, doing a detox, getting angry as a reaction does not make any sense, let alone introducing the concept and idea of telling someone to correct their nationality and correct their status as a citizen. I digress. That is why education and introducing these concepts at an early age is so important. Article 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional, or international status of the country or territory in which a person belongs, whether it be independent, trust, non self governing, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. So it continues on with a series of articles all the way until 30, all the way until 30. Okay, there you go. And again, it sounds basic. That sounds like something that's common knowledge that everyone should know that they have. However, because of our birth certificates, because of our social security numbers, because of our social security cards, because of our, whether it's driver's license, state IDs, things of that nature, the closest you can get to being a national citizen is having a passport. So if your intention in life was never to get a passport, you have to rethink your life. You should want to visit other countries. You should want to potentially live in another country, whether permanently or for a period of time. Considering things like dual citizenship, where you have citizenship in multiple countries, multiple continents. These are concepts that need to be introduced to children at an early age, knowing that they have the opportunity to do these things. Mac 11 say you took that vid shot. Well, you may have felt compelled to share that here on this stream. Like I mentioned before, doing things such as taking that time to acquire an alkaline diet, vegan, vegetarian fasting, and detoxing. Intentionally taking care of your body, decreasing the amount of processed foods you eat, potentially completely eliminating the processed foods that you eat. Intentionally shopping at farmers markets rather than a grocery store where you don't know what has happened to the produce that's there. A farmer's market, you're communicating directly with the farmer or whatever representative they have, and their produce is fresh from their facility, whatever farm they have. So whatever your reasoning was for sharing that, that's what I have for you as a solution. Because all that's happening is ingesting whatever materials those are into your body to the point where you feel like you have to say something like that is doing something to you. You are attracted to a stream such as this. A lost people are now found. So now you have found this information and a potential solution for whatever ailments you may, whether be experiencing, fear experiencing in the future, whatever the case may be. So how do we get this information in front of children in a more direct way? So I've shared with y'all on different occasions what I have been doing, what I have been working on as far as the private equity and research firm. So I will be more direct in how that approach is. Also for individuals who our members here on the channel, we will have one last virtual business meeting, and then the rest of the content that will be shared with you all will not be live streams for virtual business meetings. We may do some live streams for members only that will not be available to the public at all. The content that will be shared with you all is what I mentioned before as far as the Marine Kingdom and the information that I was giving back in 2023. So the ocean aliens and all of that stuff and all that rhetoric, I had already addressed all of that in 2023. So we have, I think it's 15. It may not be that many. I don't know. I have to count again. Potentially it's 15 videos, up to 15 videos of me describing different concepts around community building within your family and directly with those who you commune with, how to communicate with the Marine Kingdom in the midst of that, and finding whatever entities work with you best that are part of the Marine Kingdom. So as far as the blog goes, and ladies, you can join the research team. I'll get into that a little more later. This first blog here, and you can get these printouts for free on the website as well. Innovating the Educational Future, curating conversation topics for educators and professionals in school and the workplace. Educators and executives everywhere seek forms to communicate with students and colleagues. How is this accomplished? Our research firm specializes in communicating with the masses in ways specific to those intending to revolutionize the aspect of living as an African American. Caretakers, parents, and guardians definitely benefit as well as far as communicating with their children and others in the workplace. The goal is to integrate these thought forms for the evolution of the future, those graduating from school and entering their career field. So this is what I mean by directly spearheading a way to communicate with children, those who are in college, and those who are entering the workplace, ways for individuals to know about who they are, learning from the traumas of what their people have experienced, and how to thrive as a society later. Alamaat said, peace and blessings, goddess. What's good, peace? Okay. Quadrillionaire, blockchain, derivatives, goddess. Those terminologies may seem new or unheard of to the average person. The beautiful aspect of that is these terms are now being pushed to the forefront by marine liquidity, fiduciary flow, private equity, and research firm. The research team is providing essays such as these to showcase how innovation can be shared amongst the masses. When people think about the concept of blogs, the immediate thought may go to various topics of interest or gossip about well-known figures. The Flow blog provides a space for blog readers to take their hobby to a productive environment while assisting in innovation. That's the whole purpose of this blog. So, ladies, like I mentioned, you can join the research team. It doesn't matter what it is you do. If you are a black woman, if you are a goddess, if you are an aboriginal and original being here in the United States, this is what this is for. Whether you are a mother, an aspiring mother, and we intentionally do have a birthing project that we're working on now. It's in the community tab, in the post tab here on this channel. If you are a professional, if you have a college degree, whatever sort of aspect of living you experience, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a homeschool mother, if you are married, whatever it is that you are passionate about in any sort of concept, your hobbies, your community, putting that into concrete paper and allowing us as a goddess council to showcase that in front of the world. So I say the world, I mean the World Wide Web is put online, and we also bring it to the forefront for individuals in person. So as a few of y'all may have seen, if you look on my my regular videos, not the live streams, but go on the regular videos, I was at a community building event last week. So bringing concepts to individuals who are in spaces like that, in higher realms in the actual education industry, and providing something that's concrete and on paper to individuals such as those, That is how we implement change. So of course, making whatever finances, for example, that particular excerpt that I read, if someone wanted to continue to read it, they could purchase it for $111. So all the essays are ranged in that price range, starting at around that price and going up. So that's what you benefit as far as directly in your own pocket. Simultaneously, you're assisting other ladies and other people who are in our lineage, who are in our family as a whole, to think differently. Maybe your essay is not always coming from a teaching standpoint or something that you're using to showcase ways for people to improve from your experience. It could be something as simple as people being able to have their thoughts put down onto paper. Wow, I'm reading this. I never knew someone could write down exactly what I've been thinking for all these years or all this time, or someone went through something that was similar to me or the exact same as me, and they were able to put into words what I haven't been able to explain to anybody, and now I can use this format to share with others so that they now can know exactly what I have been dealing with. This is to help everyone gain a common understanding so that we can understand to overstand as a whole collective. A lot of people were thinking about the concept and the fact that a woman of color did not win the presidency this time around. She went to an HBCU, and I have been intentionally reaching out to HBCUs about this concept as well before she started running for president, actually. And a lot of individuals felt crushed by the fact that she did not win presidency. And it's like, okay, we have to realize something. This isn't anything new, for one. Whether someone is qualified on paper to do something or not, there's still a way that marginalized individuals are treated in this country, regardless of how anyone may feel about it. So the fact that we're dealing with a complete minority, someone of color and someone who is a woman. Okay, then, take that into consideration rather than being upset about it, and do what you can to assist those who feel that they may be affected negatively from the issues that people are observing. How can you help them? Expressing yourself in an organized format and or teaching how these things can be alleviated and providing solutions for them. That's the basis of us having our research team. So yeah, shorter stream. I did want to get straight to the point of what it is we're talking about. Okay, this correcting one's status, correcting one's mind. These are opportunities for us to work together to get what's necessary for oneself as we assist with all of our other selves, our other reflections. You and me and you, working together to make change for us all. It sounds a little cheesy. At the end of the day, these are documents that are put into place to help everyone. This is the back end work. This is what's necessary for things to get going all the way, rather than people just being excited and saying stuff online or saying stuff in a microphone. Having these podcasts and having these forms of communication are great. We also need actionable solutions for people to take home with them rather than hearing someone speak their thoughts and opinions only. Speaking those thoughts and opinions are great, and they can be healing in certain aspects. Because again, like I mentioned with the essay example of no one knew what I was going through. However, this has been put into words and I can share with others. That's what a lot of podcasts do. Taking that concept and implementing it into concrete print, making it into curriculums, which we also have, so that we can talk about these things with children so they don't have the same struggles that we have as adults. That's the goal. The better the children are off as far as knowledge, wisdom, intellect, and knowingness, then it benefits everyone as well. By the time those children become adults, they're able to help the older adults who assisted them in whatever context was necessary. Again, the example of the community building event that I was at last week. It was very on brand for my father's organization, as I showed up with my father, with my son. So you have a multi-generational family who is all part of this organization and who is all part of this event, who is all part of assisting the collective in multiple different ways. A gentleman had a conversation with my son and was able to tell he's just there. He knows what he knows. He's not just smart, he is in his full knowing as a being. He doesn't have to have a spiritual awakening. He just has his own evolutions as a being, as a boy growing into a man. All children need to experience life that way. We were only kept back as individuals to where some of us had to have these grandiose spiritual awakenings because the truth was kept from us. Exposing the truth early and allowing individuals to make that choice early on is what we need to continue to do, and why we are continuing to connect with the individuals that we connect with, building our network and building what we call a community. That is why also the research team is called a council. We are our own goddess council. All right. So yeah, that's it for this stream. If y'all don't have any more comments or questions or anything like that, I'm going to go ahead and go. Like I said, more information is in the description box on how you can connect with me on information like this, as far as, the research firm goes, and then the nationality study guide that my husband has within his ministry and what we are doing within the ministry as well. I am now the secretary, and we just solidified our board of trustees for us to make certain moves going forth within the community. So this is all the stuff that happens off camera. You have to remember, not everything either can be posted or not everything will be posted, because you simply can't post every single thing. Now, sure, if people get a reality TV show and have a 100% time recorded stream 24/7 sort of situation going on, and then it's on camera with all the video and stuff, cool. However, we're individuals, we're beings with cameras. We're not going to pull them out 100% of the time. All we can do is make announcements and make our offerings to individuals as often as we can. It's up to you to take that step, to reach out, and to make that decision for yourself to change your own life. Okay? Until we get these things put into the forefront for the public, that's how it is. You have to take that initiative for yourself. Okay? Shalom, Rainicorns. I will see you in the next one. Tawada. And that means thank you in Hebrew.